We're finally here, and you'll notice something different. We have microphones.
I was going to say it's what you've done with your hair.
Thank you, mate. Courtesy of Road, we're on the road to the Rugby World Cup. It's finally here. 1 day away for the big one, France against New Zealand. But for us South Africans, it's the Bokke. It's Sunday, Marseille, Scotland. And the last time I was in Marseille at a World Cup was 2007. It was the quarterfinal. Saturday, I went and saw England knock out Australia. And that Sunday, the Springboks 37-20 against Fiji. A great game. We started well. We were 20 points to 6 up. They came back to 20 all. And then JP Peterson made the most incredible cross-cover tackle. John Smith said to the boys, do you want to be New Zealand? Do you want to be Australia? And do you want to be at Charles de Gaulle? Boom, boom, boom. The forwards came into play, 37-20, 34-13, 15-6, and that was our World Cup. 7 magnificent weeks in France. Most of them in Paris and a little bit in Marseille. Marseille, so different to Paris. Boks against Scotland. Zell Nell, SA Rugby magazine editor. You also may know him as Rick Rodriguez. His alter ego. You want to give them a little bit of Rick's?
No.
You're such a spoil sport.
Spoiled brat.
Give me a bit of Ricky before we go on.
You guys, we are almost there. The 2023 Rugby World Cup kicks off tomorrow. We are so excited. We cannot wait to see what happens when France take on the All Blacks. Enjoy it. Have a great time. Spoil yourselves.
That was mild. Thanks, Rick. We'll be hearing a lot more Ricky Rodriguez over the next 6 weeks. Boks, what I love about the Boks, they always just pick their team, announce it to the world, and say, here it is.
Yeah.
And they had to get special permission to actually come in early to announce the team. But don't be surprised if there's 2 late replacements and they play an 8-0 bench. So, an expected lineup, Zels.
Yes. Yes. I love that the Boks, people are going to take this the wrong way, but I love that the Boks aren't taking Scotland very, very seriously. I think it's amazing. It's a great squad. And I think it just, these Oaks are rolling into the tournament with a bit of swag. They're going to have to back it up, but I like it.
Wait, mate. First of all, you say they're not taking Scotland very seriously. I think there's 15 out of the 23 that played in the last World Cup and 13 out of the 23 that started. And the reason it's not about 20 out of the 23 is because they got about 5 injuries.
Yeah.
So I would say they're taking them pretty seriously.
No, they're taking them seriously.
Support that comment you made.
So, look, maybe those guys are injured. I don't know. All I'm saying is, if this was a World Cup final on Sunday, I can guarantee you that this team wouldn't look exactly like it does. And like I say, I like that. I like that they go in there, that they hold some ammo back. They're obviously managing a few people. Dwayne is one of those guys. And I think they are confident. It's a good sign. It's an encouraging sign. They're not scrambling to go and beat Scotland. And, that all that stuff that I said about we needed to prep for this tournament was precisely so that we can go into this World Cup like we are world champions and with a bit of a holding. And I think this team that they've picked says exactly that, and that's great. Like I say, now they just need to back it up.
Okay, I'm going to take you back to a week ago, actually 10 days ago, after we destroyed the All Blacks 35-7. For those who weren't on this planet a fortnight ago, the All Blacks lost 35-7. It's 28 points. It's the most in their history. The Boks after an hour with 35-0 up. I just want to say that again. I like saying that. 35-0 up. And 8 of those players were in the test match when the Boks lost 57-0 in Albany, in New Zealand's North Island, just over the harbour bridge from Auckland. So a wonderful game, 2 statement performances, 52-16 against Wales, 35-7 against the All Blacks. They went off to Corsica, had a good survivor week, took the ferry back, man, and have just loved being in Toulon, where Cheslin Colby played for a long time, where Dwayne Vermeulen played. And Toulon obviously got a rich history of South Africans, started with Joe van Niekerk, the incomparable Joe van Niekerk, who's could be the town mayor there. Costa Rica Joe, a legend down there, really rejuvenated his career. What followed was the big man Bakkies Botha, Donnie Rousseau, Jean Smith, Brian Habana, and a few other South Africans. Michael Klaassen was there. I think Craig Burden was there. We've seen South Africans. That club is so enriched with South African culture. So a very good thing for the Boks to go and have based themselves in Toulon. They've been well received. Marseille is just up the road as well. But you said you didn't know where they were 2 weeks ago. If they won by 30 against Scotland, it wouldn't surprise you. If they lost by 3, it wouldn't surprise you. Has that changed in the last 10 days when you've seen the build-up, you've seen the psyche of the Boks, the way they've been speaking, looking at how the other teams are speaking?
I suppose so. I mean, you can't just overlook a 35-7 win against the All Blacks where they were up 35-0 at points in that game. That was 35-0. But yeah, look, like I said, the Boks need to back it up now. So I love the swag. I love the attitude. I love how we're going into this World Cup. That's exactly what I wanted. I still need some convincing on a few things, but I feel like we're in a good space. We're coming off a huge win. I don't think Rassie would have allowed the guys to really run away with that result and bank it as, they're the most unstoppable team on planet Earth. And so I think we are in a relatively good space. We're certainly in a much better space than we would have been if we'd lost to the All Blacks, and we're going into this match on yet another loss to the All Blacks. So we're in a good space. I'm relatively confident. We've got a hell of a draw in this World Cup, and there are a lot of unknown factors, but I think we're in a good space, and I feel like we're much better off than we were before we played the All Blacks, obviously.
It's really interesting when we talk about that All Black game, because most were disregarding that game as meaningless, just a money spinner. But the ramifications of the way that game unfolded, the injuries that the All Blacks had, the cards that they had, the history-making loss that they had, took a side that was flying. Rugby championship winners, Bledisloe Cup winners, played their B team, still got a win against Australia, blitzed the Boks for 20 minutes in Mount Smart, and put every doubt that there's been for the last 2 years right back into that squad, and took every doubt out of our squad that we have had all season, and saying, are these guys just fatigued because of the way they've been training? They haven't made that statement performance, and boom, they did on that Friday night in Twickenham. When we look back in 6-7 weeks' time, are we going to say that that's potentially where the World Cup was won or lost?
I mean, if they go on and they beat the All Blacks at the World Cup and then go and win the thing, you've kind of got to say that was a massive turning point. It'd be hard to not view that as a milestone turning point for this team. So absolutely. I think we also just need to keep cognizance of the fact that Rassie and Jacques put their eggs in the Mount Smart basket, and then all the eggs got smashed. And so not everything that they've tried has worked, and as much as we are ecstatic that the 7-1 worked in Twickenham and we caught the All Blacks cold and destroyed them, it was fantastic. What we're looking for now is the consistency, right? We knew that this team could beat anybody on the day. We've spoken about it before. After the last World Cup, Rassie came out and he said, the thing that's going to improve now is we're going to be a team that wins with consistency, successive wins, continuity, and it's not that the Boks have got a bad record, but they certainly haven't kicked on to become that team that strings multiple wins together. And so that's what we've got to answer now at this World Cup. Start with a nice big win against Scotland and build from there.
Should we not accept that the Springboks are a 63% winning team historically? Okay?
Never.
And if rugby was run on a league basis, the Springboks would never win the league.
Yes.
But they're a magnificent knockout cup team.
A big tournament team.
They're a big tournament team. And if you look at their record in World Cups, 95, given no price. They'd had a poor 94 tour to New Zealand. They had a poor series against England at home. They lost in Pretoria. They won in Cape Town. They went on the end of their tour, did well. But New Zealand was the team to beat. Okay, Australia were the defending champions. They knocked over Australia in the opener, and they beat New Zealand in the final. 99, disarray going into the World Cup because of Gary Teichmann's axing, Bobby Skinstad's injury, but also being taken along. Somehow find their mojo. 5 Yanni to be a drop goals at the start in the quarterfinal to knock England out. And then for me, the most magnificent World Cup game I've ever seen in terms of a playoff, the match against Australia. They lost in extra time. The Larkham drop goal, the Matt Burke penalty, 27-21. No try score, but a magnificent game. 2003, I was involved in that campaign as the Boks communications manager. An absolute disaster. The wrong coach, wrong selections. 2007, no one was going to touch them at that World Cup. 2011, it should have been them against the All Blacks in the semi-final. Again, better coaching, more consistent selections with that incredible squad. They should have knocked Australia over. 2015, again, Hani Kamea lost the plot leading into that World Cup. Lost to Japan. Somehow they recovered, ground out a win against Wales, and because of the kind of traditional rivalry there is, managed to come within 2 points on the scoreboard of the All Black side, probably the greatest ever All Black side. 2019, bounced back from the defeat against the All Blacks and were unstoppable. And now going into this World Cup so strong. So if I look at the history of the World Cup, there's been two, 2003 and 2015, where you just knew we were never going to win it. The rest, potentially, we could have been in those finals and taken away the wins. We are a team that knows how to play over 6 weeks and kind of galvanize each other. And we spoke earlier in the week, that's going to be France's big challenge because they've never done that. This team now knows how to win a World Cup because most of them have done it before. And they know how to come back from a defeat. That's why the Scotland one, for me, makes me a little bit nervous because Scotland's a tough opponent. But they can come back from a surprise loss and actually still go on and win the World Cup. Do you think they'll take comfort from 2019?
Absolutely. No, I think absolutely they will take comfort from 2019. I think we also have to not, as much as we want to respect all the teams in world rugby, the reality is the Boks and the All Blacks are the heavyweights. And we generally clean our teeth with European teams. How many times have we lost against European teams at World Cups? I don't know. You would know the number.
How many times have we lost to European teams at World Cups? England in 2003, where we were a shambles and they went on to win the World Cup. Okay. Other than that, mate, it's Bokke by 10, Bokke by 20, and on occasion Bokke by 40.
And yet, you said you're nervous about the Scotland game.
I'm nervous about the Scotland game, not historically. I'm nervous about the Scotland game because Scotland's current setup are a very difficult opponent, and they will cause you some anxious moments. They play a very niggly game. They play an off-the-ball game. Their forwards are very good. I rate their pack probably outside of France as the best in Europe in terms of just being an uncomfortable opponent. And they've got that kind of Scottish ticker that they just don't go away either. I think we've got too much for them. I think it's a great opponent to start with.
Absolutely.
To prep us for Ireland.
Spot on.
Romania will be a nice running, get some more confidence and get some of the fringe players in. But 52-51 in the two matches against France, home and away. France played both their squads. Scotland mixed their match. There were only 6 changes. But in, I think it was Saint Etienne where they played, and they came back and they lost 32. They brought it back to 27-all against the full-strength French team. Admittedly, the French first hit out. But they showed a competitiveness. They went down 2 scores when they lost a guy to a card, came back again. So there is a healthy respect from the Boks for the ability of a Scottish side to make it uncomfortable. And I think what's been proven in every match leading into this World Cup and during the Rugby Championship in 6 Nations, no matter how good you are, if you lose a play or two to a card, it changes the dynamic of the game.
Spot on.
So, it's all things considered, the Boks will have a tough hit out, a very, very good hit out that will set them up for the World Cup. I'm confident they'll win it, but I'm giving these guys some respect. Of all the teams that I see them playing, this could be a banana peel game because it is Scotland, but Scotland are ranked 5th in the world. Although I am very confident we'll win, I'm saying to every rugby fan, don't expect us to just go in there and blow them away. This is a very good Scotland side, and they were made even better because 4 South Africans are in that 22, and one of them is on the wing, Duhan van der Merwe. My goodness, that's one that got away from us. I know he was developed in Scotland, and he really came to the fore there, but geez, to have had him in our back 3 would have made us even more potent.
He'd be playing number 8.
He'd be playing flank 8 on the bench wing. He'd be playing anywhere he wanted to. Why does Scotland not kind of concern you?
I'm not concerned about Scotland because I view those games almost as watching the Cats play the Bulls in Super Rugby in 2003 and being like, wow, this is a great game. These are 2 good teams. And then they go over and they play the Crusaders in Christchurch and just get absolutely smashed. And so I think European rugby is great to watch when they play each other, technically very good. I think you can measure their physicality against each other. I don't think the Scottish mindset, to be blunt, is ready for what's coming on Sunday. I think our guys are going to open a few eyes, and I think the Boks are physically going to dominate the game. Whether that translates to the scoreboard, I don't know. But to my mind, unless the safety police put on the sirens and come wee war into the game and take 3 Springboks off for dangerous tackles, I can't see South Africa losing that game. I've got the Boks to win it comfortably.
If you look at the Boks setup again, 7 of the 8 started against the All Blacks. Duhan and Jasper, they just alternated them. And as they said, they were going to manage Duhan's workload. He'll definitely start against Ireland.
Yeah.
All things considered, if he's fit. And then in the backs, they said Kane and Moody would have played. He's just nursing a niggle. And Jean Claim would have played, and he's nursing a niggle. So they wouldn't have made too many changes. The interesting one for me is that they've given Damian Willemse another go at fullback, put Willie Leroux on the bench. Is this a changing of the guard that's going to come in this World Cup?
I don't think so. I mean, I love Damian Willemse. For everybody who thinks that I'm in any way not on the Damian Willemse camp, that's impossible. I've been championing that guy for years. I think he's, if not the best backline player in South Africa, he's certainly close. That guy's phenomenal in terms of the fact he's a complete all-rounder. But I don't think Russie's going to be changing the guard per se at a World Cup. I think Damian's probably close in Russie's pecking order. I've said it a few times. I don't particularly like Damian at fullback, prefer him closer to the ball. But he's proven himself. He was man of the match against the All Blacks. And so, yeah, I think Villiers' position is safe. I think Villiers will start against Ireland. But I do think the Boks are very comfortable with Damian. And if there's an injury, they're not going to lose any sleep about starting Damian at fullback.
Okay, and you look at Kanan, could have come in at 13, obviously on the win as well. Not available, so they're going with the veteran, Jesse Krill, with Damien Dialandi. Those guys were playing together since 2014 under Heineke Meyer. No, Mapimpi, and they've gone with Kurtley Orange. A surprise or not a surprise?
No, not a surprise. I think Kanan had a great game at 13, and we would all like to see him play more there. I don't think he's done enough to overtake Jesse in Russie's pecking order at 13. And I think they see him as potentially a starter, primarily a starter for them on the wing. But I think this Scotland game, that's what I said right at the beginning, if this was a World Cup final, this team would look different. I think the Scotland game is a great opportunity to keep KLA warm and to get Cheslin back in the mix and get them playing again. I don't think this is going to be the lineup that plays Ireland, and I think Kanan will definitely feature then. And Makazole, I think, is a guy who's going to star against Romania and Tonga.
If you look at the SA Rugby magazine poll, you asked the fans to pick their starting 15.
Yes.
They didn't know there were any injuries or whatever.
Yes.
It was very consistent with what Rassie and Jacques eventually put out. But the one big difference there is they all went for Andre Esterhazy at 12. You and I are big Damien Dialandi fans.
Yes.
We believe the guy's been there, he's done it, and class is permanent. Some say that he's out of form. I disagree with that. I just don't think he needed to peak in the Rugby Championship. And not taking anything away from Andre the Giant, I don't know how anyone thought that they would leave Dialandi out and pick Andre the Giant.
No, madness. I think there's a lot of, and I mean, growing up as a kid, there were times where I was on the same bandwagon, The Springbok 12 is always going to be that target setter. As much as you want to see him pass the ball and offload and play, that's just not the way the Springboks play. Arguably, in the back line, Damien Dialandi is the best passer of a rugby ball. The guy can flick it 25 meters off either hand, at the blink of an eye. So he's a fantastic passer of the ball. He doesn't pass the ball because he's been instructed not to pass the ball. That's not his job at 12. And I think you have to recognize that. And he's also a guy, we've spoken about it before, when the pack, if they're not in absolute control, they give it to Damien. He soars across the gain line, and it's back to business.
Well, you just have to look at the try he scored against Wales in the semi-final of the 2019 World Cup. He was on the back foot. He made something out of nothing, beat a couple of defenders, and that was the definitive moment to kind of give us the momentum.
Yeah.
I'm just going to challenge you on one thing there when you say he is arguably the best passer of the ball in the Springbok backs. I would disagree and say Manie Lebok, without a doubt, is the best passer.
That's actually a good
call. So I know you don't really rate Manie, but come on, mate. Don't show your prejudice here.
Stop it. These people believe it. I like Manie Lebok. I think he's a great footballer.
Come on, Ricky.
Asterisk is the goal kicking. Everything else, fantastic.
All right. So you say Damien is the best inside and outside back passer. Manie, definitely the best passer.
I mean, if you could have a competition, I'd like to see who comes out the winner there.
Well, mate, I just have to watch the games, and I've seen it.
That's what I say. You don't see Damien pass.
Yeah, well, I've seen Marnie pass left and right, 30 meters. Let the guys like Kane and Moody who understand a drift pass run onto it. He is the best passer. Faf de Klerk also in the box set up the best 9. Jaden Hendricks has huge potential. Grant Williams, explosive off the bench. He gives them an option on the wing. Fans again, why is Jaden not in? Faf won you a World Cup. Faf is the guy, and he's the experienced guy to take pressure off Marnie. There was no way they were going to go into a World Cup with an inexperienced 9 and an inexperienced 10.
Yes. And but I mean, as much as I'd like to see Jaden play, and I feel like he's the future at 9 and potentially the present, having a guy that can come off the bench and change the game like Grant can is a huge boon for that bench. Also, he's versatile. He can fit in at wing if you need him to, and on a 6-2 split, that's obviously valuable.
All right, so let's look at that Bok pack. 7 of the 8 are always going to be there in the way they are there. Interchangeable, obviously, Marks and Bongi. Dwayne, we know, will come in for the big games.
Can we just give a little shout out to Sos? I mean, the guy was written off after getting tackled in the trams. Now he's the starting 5 lock for the Springboks. Huge fan. I think he's very underrated and very happy to see him there. And I love that the Boks are just trotting into this World Cup with 2 lock combinations that would be starting for any other country in Eben and Sos and JK and Ergia. Love that.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of the lock stocks, and then you think you've also got a Pieter Steph who started at lock, and if he had to, in the worst case scenario,
Totally.
could go in.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 5 lock options there that would walk any other international team.
Easily.
When you think New Zealand are talking about bringing Josh Lord into the setup, when you see what they've got on their bench, when you also see how France has struggled now with Willemse out, just what's around, we are absolutely blessed there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Franco Mossa, for those who don't know, his nickname is Sos. What a warrior, what a team man. And in a way, and I know he's such a team man, it's done him a disservice at times starting at flank because he's a bloke who he needs to start at lock and he can always cover for you at flank.
Spot on.
Or he must come off the bench and then play one or the other.
He's the guy flipping the patties at the back, not serving the customers.
Oh, I like that.
Don't put him there.
And and without the guy flipping them, you just don't get a burger.
There is
do
no
you?
burger, mate.
So yeah, so shout out to Sos and to that Bok pack. And is it a case now also, if we look at the subs, that the likes of Trevor and Ox, that they've kind of leapfrogged a guy like Vincent Koch?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I think that I think Trevor offers a lot of value in general play. So I'm very glad to see it. Hopefully he's an injury-free tournament and we see him in the final with that big smile lifting the trophy.
And also interesting selection for me that they're gone with Marco van Staden. And so
Yes.
that's also to say to Sia, go and empty the tank for 50 minutes. If something happens, we have a like-for-like kind of replacement to play to the ball. Is that how you would see that
That
selection?
is the most interesting pick of this week for me, is Marco van Staden on the bench. Because what does it say about the pecking order? Where's Kwacha? Is Dion only going to play hooker against Romania? It just gives some insight into the thinking around, we've got a surplus of open side flankers in the squad now, and where do they all fit in? I thought that was a really interesting selection.
Any other changes you would have made for Scotland, given who's available?
Yeah, where we are right now and the plan that they have, obviously this is the team they've chosen. Like I said, I like the fact that we didn't go in there full metal jacket, as some coaches like to say. I like that we've held some ammo back and we're giving guys a chance to shine. For Jesse Creel, again, it seems like it is every time for a guy who's played so many test matches, but in a way it's an audition for his spot. I hope he has a cracker and I'm looking forward to it.
And now listening to the Bok coaches talk in the week, people have spoken about the South African influence in the Scottish lineup. Obviously, the 2 veteran props, Piers Skuman, Via Piernell, Carl Steyn on the win, and obviously Duhan van der Merwe. Duhan van der Merwe's had a lot of attention on him, and I feel sorry for the guy because it's not a case of he chose to play for Scotland, not South Africa. That's kind of where it all happened for him. He comes back here on holidays. He got married here. His family still stays in George. Akker, the Warthog, he's coming back here, and he could be in the Springbok jersey next year. Who knows? But let's go back to the British and Irish Lions turn, that second test. There were no spectators at the ground, but from every angle, there was a monster hit that Duhan van der Merwe put on Pieter Steph de Toit and finished his season.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be in the back of the mind of Pieter Steph and every Springbok, and that Duhan, because they tried in Cape Town and they didn't quite get it right, do you think he could be in for a little bit of special treatment?
Oh, mate. I think everybody is on the Bok menu this week. I think everybody would love to have a piece of Duhan van der Merwe. And I think definitely for Scotland, they need him. You know, he's a guy that they can absolutely put in the vanguard of their attack, especially the wide attack. to control the wide breakdown, make meters out wide, and just be a physical threat against a Bok backline that in some places is not the most physically imposing. So it makes sense tactically that you'd, try and line that guy up on the chessboard. And I think every single forward in that Bok pack is going to be tracking hard to get across the field, just in case Duhan comes back inside and they can tickle his ribs. So I'm looking forward to that.
And I think a great compliment when you think of the back three that they've chosen for the Boks. When you look at a Cheslin and a Kirtley, what the coaches are saying is you may lack size, but you lack nothing in heart and tenacity. And we back you, at worst case scenario, to hang on to his ankles, and one of our big forwards will take him out. So huge confidence in the way they've picked the winners to play against a guy like Duhan, who for me is a special player. I love watching that guy play. Every time he touches the ball, you get that like Lomu-like feeling of he's going to break that first tackle. He's going to do something. Interesting interview that I read with him, that he drifts in and out of games. He makes a mistake. He gets hard and down on himself. And a guy like Finn Russell
has to bring him back.
Has to bring him back and say, you're so important for us.
Yeah.
So I think everyone spoke about Kane and Moody's going to light up this World Cup. I think a guy like Duhan van der Merwe is going to be one of the stars for as long as Scotland are in this World Cup, which may only be for the pool stages. But it's going to be a great one. It's Marseille. It's very different to playing in Paris. It's down in the south of France, for those who haven't been there. We have a great kickoff time as well, 5:45 in South African time. It's not a 9 o'clock kickoff. The temperatures, I believe, are anything between 28 and 33 degrees, depending on where you are. It's really in the heart of summer. It makes for a great occasion. It's a great venue, Marseille. There's going to be intensity there where you tend to find a bit more sophistication when you go to the stade in Paris. There's going to be a huge South African contingent there supporting the Springboks. And obviously for the Scots, it's an easier flight over from Edinburgh and Glasgow. Zels, we're going to be reading all the content on SA Rugby Magazine every day. We're going to see your Twitter timeline go mad because you always call it correctly. I'll be giving my opinion on my Twitter timeline and obviously also on keo.co.za. The Money Man, visit his Facebook page, Closer to the Game. He's going to be putting bets on throughout the tournament. He's in Ireland at the moment, taking a bit of time up before the big kickoff. So do visit his page. He'll give you the odds. He'll give you his view. And he'll also tell you the games to stay away from, which is hell of important in betting. But you've spoken all about disregard for the Scots, Zels. So tell us what you think is going to happen to Braveheart and the boys.
I think the Springboks are going to win this one. I've got them by 15 points. I think the bookies have got them at 10 or 11. And I'm saying the Boks take this 34-19.
We didn't even speak about this, eh? We didn't speak about
Matey.
this. I've got a 35-17 for the Boks, 18 points. So I think we're all in the ballpark figure.
Yes.
That it's going to be a comfortable 2-score win for the Boks. We normally say Boks by 10, but it's going to be Boks by a lot more. Follow SA Rugby, follow Zels, follow myself, and just follow all the vibe and the hype over the next 2 months. Thanks once again to Rode, who have given us incredible mics, so you can hear us without a jingle, without a tinny effect for the first time.